Welcome everyone from the Carl Chevrolet Studios in West Des Moines, Iowa. I'm Terry Rich, and I'm filling in today because Lou's coming back tomorrow. We're getting prepared. We're stocking the refrigerator with extra Diet Coke, and he'll be ready to rock and roll tomorrow. But we've got a couple very special guests today. Kind of a surprise for you today. We're going to start out right away talking about Iowa history. Jeff Stein is with us. How are you doing, Jeff, with the Iowa Almanac? Life's good. Did you guys get much of this darn ice here recently, yesterday?
Well, I'll tell you, Happy New Year, Terry, by the way, to you and everyone. It was a little bit of a skating rink coming down to Waterloo this morning, but then we had a thunderstorm. So I guess welcome to Iowa weather in January, right?
Hell, you always think about transportation in the winter. It seems like we cuss it more than we used to. And in the old days, transportation was also a problem in its own way, right?
Yeah, if you think you had a hard time today or during the blizzard, imagine no roads and no railroads. That was the case when Iowa became a state in 1846. No railroads, not for lack of trying, though. Railroads were becoming common in eastern states, and western migration required continuing those rail lines through the middle part of our continent. The first railroad actually built in the state ran westward from Davenport to the state capital. That was Iowa City, of course. And a separate branch line would run from Wilton to Muscatine. But this was a large project, as you might imagine. Ground for the railroad line was broken in Davenport on September 1st of 1853 by the Mississippi and Missouri Railroad Company. They agreed to complete the route to Iowa City by New Year's Day of 1856, and that was barely 2 years.
And it seems like, in these days, a transportation route, how to get that cleared, was it tough getting all that land, everything put together at that point, Jeff?
Oh, absolutely, Terry. Sorry to step on you there. I mean, if you want to widen the highway, you've got to either buy the land from the property owner or they might go through a condemnation process. Well, back then, the company asked Congress for a grant of land, but because of past experiences with other companies, Congress refused to give them the land, so the railroad company went ahead without that government assistance. So the first train pulled into Muscatine in November of 1855. So far, so good, but it would be hard to get the railroad completed to Iowa City by the deadline. Iowa City residents were eager, though, to be connected with the eastern half of the country. They helped out. They built huge bonfires to keep the workmen warm and to provide light at night to allow work to continue well past that fall and winter sundown.
Did they actually meet the deadline when it was all said and done?
Oh, absolutely, thanks to that community effort. The line was finished just as promised, and on the afternoon of January 3rd, this date in 1856, the very first train arrived in Iowa City with a great celebration, including many speeches, probably by politicians, and a public feast. Well, that's all well and good, but it would be another 10 years before the future capital city of Des Moines would welcome its first train 6 months after that, before the line across the state was completed in Council Bluffs. But the very first railroad route allowed a train to arrive in the then state capital of Iowa City, Terry, on this date in 1856.
That's an amazing story. And, when you think about the railroads then, and then as history continues, some of the railroads actually pulled out, and what did we do with them? Made them bike trails, and I get to enjoy those each and every day from that hard work many, many years ago.
And what's cool about that is, whether it's as a walking trail or a biking trail, you can just imagine the countryside and being on the train as it went through there and kind of meandered through the farmlands in rural Iowa.
It's amazing to me, just like back in the days. Today we have a lot of technology, and actually being able to route it, not to have to go up and down the real steep hills. They would have to almost tear one down, didn't they, to be able to put those through them?
Yeah, you either tunnel through it or go up and over it, and so that's why they went around it, the path of least resistance, and that's why many of our roadways follow some of those original rail lines, right? They'd already marked that out, and then we started putting roads nearby and parallel to many of the railroad tracks. How
cool. Well, Jeff Stein, always great on the history, and Iowa Almanac is the place to find out all of the fun facts about Iowa. The address, Jeff, go ahead and say it. We can see it on the screen also.
IowaAlmanac.com, and we're on Twitter as well, Terry, at Iowa Almanac.
Oh, wow. You haven't been banned at all in all these crazy times, huh? I don't think you will.
No, no, I've kept it straight down the middle like the train. We're still on Instagram. We're still on Twitter.
I guess I am too, and that's kind of surprising sometimes. All right. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for being here. Another new year. We'll see you throughout this year on Iowa Live.